Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. And we got the next episode I announced is our St. Patrick's Day episode, but this is actually our St. Patrick's Day episode because I forgot about something. We're gonna do a W2 coming back to an old thing that we used to do, WTF, What the Fact. We're gonna discuss what makes an Irish an Irish. So, Jeff, what makes an Irish an Irish?
Well, so a lot of people know that, they compare Irish and Scotch when they talk about them. So there's kind of like, all these different kinds of whiskeys. Those get lumped in together fairly regularly. But there's some key distinctions. For one, whiskey is actually from Ireland. We derive the word whiskey from an old Gaelic word that means water of life, which I agree with. So started making whiskey in Ireland back in ye olde times, and it's moved since then. Yeah, the oldest distillery, I believe, is Bushmills from the 1600s. That was the first one that was ever actually licensed. So, yeah, been around for a while.
Yeah, that could be the example of the first license. I mean, it was the first licensed distillery that far back. It might be the first license. I mean, They had to just have thought of that back then. They only just invented words, right?
Right.
I don't know much about history.
Yeah, I know. And so while we continue this discussion, we're going to tease ourselves a little bit. Bartender Steve is going to introduce next week's episode, which is Green Spot.
So here we have Green Spot, which is a single pot Irish whiskey, and also 80 proof.
Very nice. Thank you, Steve. This is going to be kind of interesting, I think, for next week's episode. Gotta love me some Irish whiskey at this point, although the last episode that we shot, that's going to be kind of hard to beat, in my opinion.
So, Christian,
what
do you feel as the mandatory, actual Irishman on our Irish whiskey episodes? What do you think makes an Irish an Irish?
Well, when I'm not looking specifically for a single pot or a single malt, I'm looking for something that's been distilled more than once. Thrice.
Well, so that's the key difference between Scotch. Yeah, so one of the big differences between a classic Irish and a classic Scotch is the number of distillations. So classically, a Scotch is double distilled, a Irish is triple distilled, so you get a cleaner, smoother, lighter flavor from the Irish than you will out of the Scotch.
Yeah. I'm basically looking for Scotch that has been sifted. Like all of the flavor that I don't like from the Scotch still comes through in the Irish, but that extra distillation really makes the difference and makes it so smooth that it really is like water of life.
Now, it seems with all the whiskeys that I've drank, and I've drank a few doing this show, it seems like out of all the different types of whiskeys out there, that Irish would actually be your best beginner whiskey. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's fairly safe as far, a lot of people move from rot gut into things like Jameson. That is a reliable intro into better whiskeys. They're not as harsh. They won't surprise you quite as badly. They're a nice ease into high-end stuff until you can find, do I really like bourbons? Do I really like, ryes or whatever? So, yeah, I think that's fair.
Cool. All right, Christian, Gabe, any closing comments on what makes an Irish an Irish?
I say the drinker.
Does he have to have a typical, leprechaun beard?
I don't think it's typical. I mean, the typical leprechaun beard is generally a red chin strap.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right.
No. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to, like, for example, the flavor of whiskey, when it comes to Irish, it's a very distinct flavor, but it's very, very easy going down. You sit there and try something like, Canadian bourbon, Scotch, Scotch being, a lot different than most Irish whiskeys, but when it comes down to it, yeah, the flavor I think is really key when coming to Irish whiskeys. They're really easy going down, and it is a very beginning whiskey when it comes to like getting into them and things like that. It's a good starting point. So
But it's also a good ending point.
Absolutely. Dude, everybody loves a good Irish whiskey. So.
All right. So we're going to end this episode so that we can start the next episode so we can sip a little bit of this Green Spot. We've reviewed Green Spot before, but we didn't review it with Christian Doyle. So, yeah. So I think that adds a different texture to it, different layer. So, is there any other projects we haven't talked about?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
We end each episode this month talking with Christian about what else is Christian Doyle doing?
What else is Christian Doyle doing?
What else is Christian Doyle doing? Well, what haven't we covered? I mean, we've got the Gamers, which has got the new series is out. My wife is one of the new Gamers, which is really cool. My actual wife, not like my TV wife. I don't have one of those. Perf doesn't get real love interests.
Well, the closest you get is when you play the character that is actually the blonde female in Gamers.
Yeah. And, self-love is important. That's what I feel.
Absolutely.
So, between that, Gamers, Journey Quest, we've also got the live stream shows that I've spoken about before at length, but you can catch them on Twitch. And we're in development on several more, plus more Strowlers. There's a new Demon Hunters that's being kickstarted right now. Please back it, because I love Demon Hunters. And, there's just always new things. I think the best way to find out what's going on with Zombie Orpheus, and specifically with the things that I do, is to check out the Zombie Orpheus Patreon page. And, if you can, back it. If you can't, look at it and find out what we're doing and when. That's all that really matters.
Now, on Demon Hunters, there is an actual. Am I correct? In hopefully, I'm not mixing Zombie Orpheus Productions, but there is an actual demon that will be very, very upset if he's not in the next episode of Demon Hunters. Correct?
Yeah, you're talking about Dwamerthrax the Destroyer.
Yeah.
He does get a little salty if he doesn't get included in projects, and he has eviscerated more than one crew member because of it.
Hi, Dwamerthrax the Indestructible. Render of souls, drinker of flesh, whatever. You may know me from the Demon Hunters movies, but probably not, since they haven't made a real one in the last 16 fucking years. Probably 17 by the time this swirling turd exits the water pipe.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, that's it for this episode of What Makes an Irish an Irish. Please let us know in the comments, as I know you all love to do. Let us know what we got wrong. Let us know what we got right. And what, for you, makes an Irish an Irish. See you next week for Green Spot.